Dima wafuna bomatu. Dima wafuna bomatu. Dima wafuna bomatu. Dima wafuna bomatu. Wakuye jitileni. Dima wafuna bomatu. Dima wafuna bomatu. Dima wafuna bomatu. Dima wafuna bomatu. Wakuye jitileni.
Peace and blessings. This is a recording to prepare for the 2023 Montgomery Maafa commemoration, remembering our ancestors, Saturday, July 8th, 2023 at 10 a.m. We will never forget. This event will take place, of course, at the Alabama River, but we will meet at the Montgomery Slave Market marker at the historic Court Street Fountain and the processional made to the riverfront near the Alabama River. Starting point at 255 Commerce Street, downtown Montgomery, Alabama, 36104. Bring your ground blankets, folding chairs, and music makers. Attire is all white or colorful and comfortable clothing. For more information, contact Michael Jackson or Brother Theodore Lush. For videos, pics, and electronic cataloging, use hashtag Montgomery Maafa 2023. This celebration of our heritage and progress is not merely a celebration, but also a commemoration and remembrance of the struggle. You will see people excited to come together from all walks of life to embrace one another, but also to remember the tragedies that took place within our ancestors. You'll hear drumming, you'll see dancing, you'll hear singing, and it will be a beautiful experience. This is the 12th Maafa commemoration in Montgomery, and we hope that you'll be able to participate. As you'll note, we have processionals taking place from the fountain at the center of Commerce Street, and of course, going all the way down to the Alabama River. Once persons are present at the Alabama River, a program will take place. Within this program, there will be spiritual connections and cultural connections to the events and the activities that will take place. Carnations are an important symbol of remembrance that we will share during the event. Candles and, of course, flowers. Candles will be burned and flowers will be tossed into the waters to remember our ancestors. Please make sure that you are present. Please make sure that you are respectful of this activity and present within your mind, your body, and your soul. In addition to the cultural and spiritual connections that we will make, we'll also have a form of entertainment through Sahi Okonjoni, an amazing drum and dance group from Birmingham, Alabama. Here are some key terms that you will continue to hear throughout this weekend. What is Maafa? The word Maafa is derived from the Kiswahili word meaning great tragedy. The term today collectively refers to the 500 years of suffering of people of African heritage through slavery, imperialism, colonialism, apartheid, rape, oppression, invasion, and exploitation. The African Holocaust is a pan-African discourse on the global historical and contemporary genocide against the mental and physical health of African people. What is Africa Town? Africatown will also open an exhibit this weekend. If you are able to attend, please go. What is Africatown? Under the cover of night, in the summer of 1860, a ship carrying 110 Africans slipped into Mobile Bay. The Clotilda, the last known U.S. slave ship, made its illegal voyage 52 years after the international slave trade was outlawed. In the years to come, the displaced Africans survived enslavement and established a community as free Americans, but they also maintained their African identities, creating the tight knit, independent community known as Africatown. Then, in 2019, it was announced that the shipwreck of the Clotilda had been discovered at the bottom of the Mobile River, a tangible link to the names and stories passed down through generations of descendants. What is Sankofa? Sankofa is an African word from the Akan tribe in Ghana. The literal translation of the word and the symbol is it is not taboo to fetch what is at risk of being left behind. The word is derived from the words san, meaning return, ko, meaning go, and fa, look, see, and take. The Sankofa symbolizes the Akan people's quest for knowledge among the Akan, with the implication that the quest is based on critical examination and intelligent and patient investigation. If you are interested in learning more regarding the Maafa, as well as the experiences of African and African American peoples, please read the newly revised and updated edition, Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome, America's Legacy of Enduring Injury and Healing by Dr. Joy DeGroy, forward by Randall Robinson, New York Times bestselling author. On page 57, Dr. DeGroy shares some key information about the Maafa. The transatlantic slave trade, referred to as the Middle Passage, marks a period of human trauma rarely equaled. The Middle Passage describes one leg of the triangular route of trade that brought captured African men, women, and children to the Americas and enslaved them. Millions were forced onto cargo ships bound for unknown lands that included Brazil, the West Indies, Europe, and the United States, among others. These people were loaded onto ships and crammed together, with sometimes less than 18 inches between them. Here, they would dwell for many weeks to several months in the bowels of the ship. They were deprived of any human comfort and shared in a collective misery. This disgusting place was where they slept, wept, ate, defecated, urinated, menstruated, vomited, gave birth, and died. It has been estimated that the millions of Africans who died en route exceeded the numbers of Jews killed in the Holocaust in the 1930s and 40s. Yet, few of us who are even aware of this part of African American history exist. The first enslaved Africans were captured and brought to Portugal in 1444. The first slaves were brought to South Carolina by the Spanish in 1526. Although slavery has long been a part of human history, American chattel slavery represents a case of human trauma not comparable in scope, duration, and consequence with any other incidents of human enslavement. The fact that the delegation from the United States walked out of the United Nations World Conference against racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance, which took place in Durban, South Africa in 2001, a conference that declared American chattel slavery as a crime against humanity, served only to highlight America's refusal to acknowledge this period in her own past. In 2016, the United Nations sent a group of experts on people of African descent to the United States to meet with Black Americans in numerous cities, including Jackson, Mississippi, Baltimore, Maryland, New York City, Chicago, Illinois, and Washington, D.C. After a week of meetings to gather facts and information, the working group released its preliminary recommendations, citing their serious concerns about the human rights issues of African Americans. They suggested the United States establish a national human rights commission and officially acknowledge that the transatlantic slave trade was a crime against humanity. The UN Working Group identified the intentional targeted attacks on people of African descent in America since their arrival and leading up to present times, as a crisis that needs to be remedied immediately. The colonial history, the legacy of enslavement, racial subordination and segregation, racial terrorism and racial inequality in the US remain a serious challenge as there has been no real commitment to reparations and to truth and reconciliation for people of African descent. Contemporary police killings and the trauma it creates are reminiscent of the racial terror lynchings in the past. Impunity for state violence has resulted in the current human rights crisis and must be addressed as a matter of urgency. In spite of evidence from both national and international agencies, and even personal accounts and testimonials from those who had experienced the traumas firsthand, there is still reluctance to acknowledge or redress the injuries of African Americans. This transatlantic exploitation is now being referred to as the Black Holocaust or the Maafa, which in Swahili means disaster, calamity, or catastrophe. Until recently, American historians have been unwilling to confront the realities of this great suffering, as evidenced by the usual absence of these events from our public school curricula and textbooks. Though a full accounting of the story of slavery and the slave trade has yet to make its way into our schools and our social conscious, in the last few decades, they have become a hot topic of research in the halls of academia. The subject of how many Africans were transported to the Americas along the Middle Passage has been a contentious issue for many scholars. In his 1969 study, The Atlantic Slave Trade, a Census, Philip Curtin placed the number of Blacks transported across the ocean at 8 million. Most studies since then have increased this estimate. For example, Hugh Thomas's 1997 work, The Slave Trade, The Story of Atlantic Slave Trade, 1440 to 1870, puts the number of Africans that arrived in the Americas at approximately 11 million. More recent studies that have used documented evidence, such as ship manifestations or ship manifest, as their basis, have placed their estimates between 10 to 15 million. Many Africans died during the Maafa. How many? How many? How many? Most scholars agree nearly as many Africans died across the Middle Passage as reached the end of the voyage. If this is true, then it is likely that between 10 and 15 million died on the voyage. And this does not account for the millions of Africans estimated to have died fighting against their would-be captors and who never made it to the slave ships. The actual number of those who died in Africa and en route to the Americas will never be known. However, The fact that millions perish is not difficult to conceive given the horrific and vile conditions aboard the slave ships. In some cases, when there was an acute outbreak of disease like smallpox or dysentery, the ships were abandoned at sea with their human cargo chained helplessly below, destined to suffer a slow, merciless death. Those who fought against their captors were murdered. Others took their own lives rather than be resigned to a life of brutality and torture. And the suffering certainly didn't end for those who survived the journey. This is, of course, on pages 57 to 59 in the book Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome: America's Legacy of Enduring Injury and Healing by Dr. Joy DeGroy. As we continue to remember what happened, it's important to place images with the words. And so you're able to see the struggle. You're able to see the coast. You're able to see in the background the homeland going farther and farther away from its people. You're able to see what it was like to go down into the depths of a slave ship, never being able to quite understand the smell, the fear, the hurt, and the pain that so many ancestors went through. As we gather on Saturday to remember the Maafa, come with respect. Come with a heart open to learn more about yourself as well as others who want to remember what happened. Those who will never forget will be present at this event. It is imperative to remember that although learning about this information is hard, it is possible for us to celebrate our existence. And that is why the processional will take place at the beginning. That's why there will be singing. That's why there will be dancing. That's why there will be joy and positivity at this event, despite the hurt, harm, and danger that occurred to our ancestors. For Montgomery area learning visits, please visit the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, the Legacy Museum, the More Up campus, the Montgomery Interpretive Center, the Lowndes Interpretive Center, and the Selma Interpretive Center. If you're not able to attend during this weekend, please make time to do this on your own schedule. In addition, on July 8th, Africatown Learning Visit will occur. Africatown Heritage House will be open starting on July 8th. If you're unable to attend on July 8th, please make time on your own schedule. In addition, the Black Belt African American Genealogical and Historical Society is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the study and exchange of information and ideas among people interested in African American genealogy, family history, and historic preservation of the 12 counties of Alabama's Black Belt region: Bullock, Choctaw, Dallas, Greene, Hale, Lowndes, Macon, Marengo, Perry, Pickens, Sumter, and Wilcox. We invite you to join us in our regular meetings, workshops, and conferences. Network with us and become further integrated into the richness of our Alabamian culture. Send an email to membership@bbaghs.org. Upcoming events: if you'd love to continue community support and development of Sankofa, please participate in these upcoming events. The Birmingham Metropolitan Chapter of Top Ladies of Distinction Incorporated will host a school supply drive and health talk July 15th, that's Saturday, July 15th at 3 p.m. at the Arlington Historic Home in Birmingham, Alabama. The Morgan Project. The Morgan Project will host a Conflict and Courage tour on Saturday, July 22nd at 7 a.m. from Birmingham to Selma. You can sign up as a chaperone or student from grades 9 through 12 at www.morganproject.org. UNCF, or United Negro College Fund, will have a walk for education supporting schools, students, and UNCF scholars in Mississippi and Alabama. The walk for education will take place Saturday, August 19th at 7 a.m. in Railroad Park, Birmingham, Alabama. Please go to their website to register. Finally, Studio 2500 will host its first anniversary of the Arc of Justice, August 27th at 3 p.m. The address 2500 26th Avenue North, Birmingham, Alabama. Thank you to our volunteering and sponsoring organizations. Organizations include Equal Justice Initiative, the National Hookup of Black Women, the Birmingham chapter, the Birmingham Metropolitan chapter of Top Ladies of Distinction Incorporated, and Afria Mary Gift Shop, the authentic African clothing and crafts located at 105 South Court Street, Montgomery, Alabama. Thank you for watching this educational moment, preparing for the 2023 Montgomery Maafa commemoration, remembering our ancestors, Saturday, July 8th, 2023 at 10 a.m. We will never forget.
Viva